Jason, those are some really nice socks you got on there. What are those ones?
So that's interesting. We're going to talk about socks today?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well,
Tell
I
them about
bought
the
a
socks.
pack of food-related, and these came in the food-related socks.
What are they?
And I can't tell. It's almost like either a smiley face smoking a cigarette or a banana smiley face, or if it's like a...
It's a banana, but I don't know what
can't
the two
tell.
eyes are.
I don't know if you guys...
That's food-related.
I'm sure you can't see it on camera.
I can't.
But they're nice in yellow and blue.
Yeah.
Like Scooby-Doo colors, but there's like a thing...
I don't know.
I don't know. So either you're smoking a cigarette, because
clever socks.
I mean, there are there's some boozy ones.
Jay, can we actually get this over with?
Smoking a cigarette.
Just because you stole socks and started wearing fun socks does not mean
if that's the only thing that makes
you have whimsy.
I don't know what does then.
Pretty soon it's gonna be Jay running.
No.
Gosh.
I love it. What else have you been up to, Jason? Anything fun going on at your house?
No, not really.
Really?
I know our last podcast, people said the fact that we're not sleeping is just because we're old now.
Yeah,
so
that was pointed out.
It's
quite a
not
few
necessarily because of our lifestyles or children. It's just when you get old, you can't sleep, apparently.
You know what was fun?
I know a lot of old people that don't do nothing but sleep.
I've seen some that just never wake up.
That's kind of true.
That's not. Ooh, that's not right, Jeremy.
They're still sleeping.
So,
Mother's not dead.
Today
They wrote a song about it, Jeremy.
Today is the 3-year anniversary of me adding 2 kids to our family, and realizing, hey, I'm gonna have kids till I'm 65 years old in the house.
If you think you'll make it.
If I'll make it. No, the kids have been great. We've been having a good time. We painted a mountain in the boys' bedroom, a few mountains. It was we just sprouted up out of nowhere. There's mountains in their room
exciting.
now. Yeah, it was really nice. So I realized that even though we're supposed to be taking a break after things like NAMM and all that, that there's 100,000 projects.
Oh, I did nothing this weekend but watch a
take
TV
breaks.
show with my son.
Did you really?
Nonstop.
Good for you.
We did a Stranger Things marathon because he's been bugging me forever, and I keep saying, "You're gonna be scared. You're
And?
gonna be scared."
Did he get
And
scared?
He's all right. So far, he's been okay.
Was
He's
it
kind of
season
wide-eyed.
1?
We're on season 4 now. and
Oh.
He's pretty wide-eyed.
That's
on
where
that
it gets
one.
kind of crazy. That's
So,
scary
I
stuff.
said, "You ready to stop?" No, I'm good.
No.
I said, "All right. Don't be coming to my
Just starts
room at
wetting the bed
midnight
again.
asking for laying next to my bed or anything. You're out of here."
I think it has been fun.
But that was a whole weekend of nothing. I felt kind of
Good for
weird.
you.
I was kind of getting bed sores from sitting in the same spot for about 30 hours.
Gosh.
My wife's
I
kind
don't know
of
if I'd
frustrated
recommend it,
with
but
me.
Yeah.
She's like, "I can't do dishes. I'm working."
Well, I'm finally getting kids that are getting well. I've got one left that's not doing
Ours
well.
are well.
And it's just so yeah, we tried to get some projects done, ran around and got some things done. I like watching. I found that we have different TV shows for different groups of kids. We have like a kids movie is kind of like a whole family thing. We go down and
it's tough to do
that. And then I found the stuff that the teenagers want to watch, and we watch that together.
Yeah.
And then we have a very few
harder and
shows that
harder.
me and my wife will watch. And scheduling that is hard.
That's been the hard part. Is we were watching Stranger Things in the living room, and all the kids are in my room watching our TV. And every once in a while, Mikey will come out. My youngest will come out, and he's Stranger Things is on, and there's something scary, and he'll want to go sit there. Man, he wants to watch it. And the worst, I'm like, "Dude, you can't watch this." And then he gets mad because I got to stop it until Mike goes back to the room. And half the time he sat in his mom's lap, and she's just got his fingers over his eyes. But apparently, he likes scary things too.
Well, there you go. You got a house full of shock.
Jared, do you
Kids,
watch any
couple of
TV?
We watched a little bit. The kids we get bored in the house, so we went out. Hadley had some kind of friend date thing, and I took the boys bowling and hurt my back a little bit. But
That's good.
How'd you do that with
Grayson's
your new
getting-
ring? Were you able to hold the ball
yeah,
with your
see,
ring?
this is my left hand, and I'm right-handed, so I used the right hand to bowl.
Oh, I see.
No.
Interestingly, but Grace was proud he went without the bumpers this time. Avery started without them, and they were like, we need some bumpers. If you ever want to hit one of these pins, we're going to need it. And then he just starts chucking the ball like,
Oh, they love that.
That's pretty fun.
We had Nate go bowling a month or two ago, and somehow his ball ended up in a different lane.
I wonder how that happens.
But anyway,
All right,
who
good
do we
times.
got on the show today, Jason? And I wonder,
This podcast
should we know
is
this
featuring
person?
the one and only Darren Nicholson.
If I would have known that, I wouldn't have been here.
Get over it, man. You're not really in a fight with him.
Oh, yeah.
Darren Nicholson of the Darren Nicholson band Balsam Range and many other things. One of my favorite people in this entire world, and I'm so
It is true.
excited that I get to talk to him today and reminisce and learn. And so here it is. The Acoustic Shop knows the Darren Nicholson.
Make me awake, 'cause I can be the link. Let somebody was letting go and I can't have my way.
We're going to start this thing. You want to start us out playing, Darren?
Sure.
Play us in. Play some background music while John introduces you.
Nope, copywritten.
Yeah, I can't do that one.
We just got demonetized. Thanks a lot.
Oh God!
Hey, I wrote that.
Did you really? Oh, what do they call it?
Yeah.
Somewhere over the bridge fault line.
All right. Darren Nicholson is here with us at the podcast.
Yeah, he is.
We know Darren Nicholson
So
and we're
well.
going to prove
And
it.
do we?
And I'm going to prove it by answering a series of questions about Darren Nicholson.
Have we done a podcast with Darren before?
No, we haven't.
Oh,
He's
it
been a
was just
guest on our
interview?
show.
Yeah, he's been here. He's been there.
He's on the TV show.
And I'll be honest. Darren Nicholson might be the person that I'm excited the most to know.
Which is weird because Jeremy actually and him still have a massive feud going on.
We're starting 2026 by putting let bygones be bygones. And
Really?
we're burying the hatchet. I'm willing to forget all the things that I said about Darren.
I'm willing to forget all of the things I said about Darren. That's good, Jeremy.
I'm the better person here.
He's thinking
Yeah.
about that.
Is that a
I'm glad to be here with John and Jason and Jeremy's mustache.
They got a beard now. It's a goatee.
that mustache?
Did you
was the
see
worst
Jeremy in his
mistake.
mustache world?
Oh, it's so bad.
In his role of Mustache Man for a couple weeks. It was
Yeah, I
ridiculous.
like it.
Did you?
Oh, God.
Oh yeah.
My wife did too.
Well, he looked like an undercover cop on a 1970s TV show, or like he's left the acoustic shop and he's a volunteer fireman somewhere.
That's the way I imagined it too.
To me, he looks like he was on the list. Not the list you want
Anyway,
to be.
Darren and I were not actually feuding. It was just a fun rumor that I started. I saw there's like all these celebrity feuds that just catch the news. So when we had Kristen Scott on her podcast and she brought up Darren, I alluded to a fight. I fabricated a fight that was going on between Darren and I, and he wasn't even aware of it.
But the one thing I want to, before we get this going here very much, Darren, why are you in so many feuds with various different musicians across the...
He sees how important it is too for him.
That I don't know. I mean,
I want to know what's up with this. Right now, it's got out of hand with you and the Cleverleys. I don't understand why it's got as bad as it has.
He saw the value of faux feuding too. It's clickbait.
yeah, well, yeah, it's clickbait. Dude, I was talking to Ashby the other day, and he said, there's two things that generate things in an algorithm. One is ask a question, because only thing people care about is getting their opinion out there. They just want to say something and be involved. So ask a question so they can answer a question.
Yeah.
Or say something that's completely false. And that's how media sources make money, because anytime people engage, they make money. So it doesn't have to be truthful. It just has to be,
Just has to be
insane.
false.
That's rage bait.
It just has to be exactly. It's rage baiting, so it just has to be false. But what was so sweet is Kristen is so sweet. She looked perplexed.
It's like, is this
I
really a
went back
fight?
and exactly. That's so funny.
It is good. Darren is one of the sweetest people in the whole world and a absolute talent. I am extremely Pleased to call him friend. I had more fun. It's always a laugh. Whenever you hang out with Darren.
Especially when you get an unexpected text at like 1 a.m. and you read it like, that's funny.
There's not as many of those anymore. I'm sober now, so there's not as many of those anymore.
You know,
But there used to be a lot
before
of
9
those.
p.m. And they made me smile every time.
So this is the opportunity, I guess, for the people who follow the podcast and also for people who follow Darren to know him a little bit better and discuss what makes Darren tick. So, Darren, what makes
We don't
you
have time
tick?
for that.
Oh boy, let's see. Beef jerky.
Beef jerky. That's a good one.
Beef jerky, lemur jerky,
Lemur.
duck jerky, turkey lurkey jerky, and tofu jerky.
Oh, tofu jerky. That's where
You
you
lost
probably
me there.
you
I
probably
believe
lost all
that's
of us.
referred to as tofurkey.
And my buddy, my
Tofurkey.
buddy, tofurkey. My buddy Richard says, he goes, please be careful when you go to California because you'll catch a strange diet. And so
It's true.
that's where I got hooked on tofu jerky.
I get in trouble with these guys. If you try to eat jerky in a car with other people, if you're the one eating it, it's fine. But if you're not, and you open that bag, the scent,
It's awful.
It's quite
Oh.
disturbing. So I like to take it onto airplanes.
No, it's no worse.
Airplanes.
It's no worse than your new obsession, which is those absolutely awful
Dots
Parmesan garlic pretzels. Jeremy has decided that
Oh.
that's his
Like
new
I should
road
put
food.
my pleasure in eating good food
Yes.
on hold so John doesn't have to smell it.
First of all, it's not good
yeah,
food.
This reminds me of a story.
Yeah.
This is the best airplane experience I've ever experienced. I can't remember what flight it was or where we were going, but I sat down on the plane, and before we start, we hadn't lifted off the ground yet. Lady next to me pulls out her backpack, pulls out a gallon Ziploc bag of some sort of soup or something.
Oh,
It was a curry of some
It was
sort.
Some sort of
yeah.
curry soup.
It was interesting. The most interesting experience I've ever had of somebody bringing their own food. It wasn't pretzels. It was a bag of liquid something.
yeah.
And
Right next to you.
Everyone
huh?
enjoyed the
right next
the
to
meal.
me. Yeah, I smelled it. It was not.
I'm one of these
Sure is
people.
wonderful.
I'm anti-violence. I'm all for stop the violence.
Really?
But this is why there's violence. I mean, this is violent. This will provoke.
I think she was rage baiting for some
Anger.
clicks of some sort.
She was rage baiting. The plane is the worst, and you all remember my old friend Steve Sutton because he was in the band with Alicia
Yep.
when I met you all. But we would get on the airplane, and there's always someone who's got a horrible salad that gets on the plane, and they're just so proud of their salad, and it's like. It's just having that self-awareness of like, I may enjoy this, but not everyone around me may enjoy
Yeah.
this. You know,
There's not enough of that self-awareness in the world.
it's
We wouldn't have banjo players if there was.
Exactly. Hey, did you hear about the banjo player who was so depressed about his timing that he threw himself behind a train?
Didn't chink. That's really good.
That was great.
Thank you. I'll be here my whole life.
That was great.
So let's first start with how we got to know Darren, and then we'll go back and see where he got to start before we got to know him.
All right.
I think that's a good plan.
Yeah, sure.
I think
All right, I can tell you, we were swimming with the stingrays in Cozumel, Mexico. All the four of us, just four young, handsome
paint the
lads,
scene, please.
shirtless
On a sandbar.
down there, just with a bunch of women staring, gawking, losing their testimonies, probably backsliding, just ready to go back to their cabin and throw rocks at their husband because they'd seen the four of us shirtless out there petting those stingrays. That's probably where it started.
it is exactly where it started.
I think it started a couple days before that,
It
but
was
that's
a few
where it
days
ended.
before. I love so Darren. We were all on a Bluegrass cruise, hanging out. I think you were playing with Alicia at that time. Is that correct?
Alicia Nugent, yeah.
Alicia
Yeah.
Nugent.
Yeah.
And that's the first time I got to really hang out. I think we had seen each other and stuff, but hanging out
Yeah.
and really get to know this guy, and we're having a blast.
It seems
we're
like
having a really
most
good
everyone
time.
else on the cruise came with a couple or came with a significant other. And I don't know, did you bring your Well,
Yeah, Vicky was
yeah.
there. She was.
So Vicky
they were
was there.
engaged.
me
at
and
the point.
Jason were single guys, and then Darren was a single guy, and we ended up hanging out a lot. And we were on the dance floors together.
Yeah, being losers. Yeah.
No, we
But
were
having a
getting down.
blast.
Another word for it.
We were getting
Yeah, we're
down with
having a
Larry
blast.
Stevenson.
Yes, it was a good time.
Yeah,
dancing
that's
on the
right.
floor. The
Larry
best,
was there. Mhm.
So about a day or two into this thing, we decided to do an excursion, and we said, Darren, you want to go with us? We're going to go pet stingrays out near Grand Cayman, I believe, and hang out. And they take you out on this boat, and everybody's doing their thing, and they get you out on the sandbar. And I thought the best part about this whole story was we're out there, everybody's getting off the boat. We're wanting to, there's these sandbars with these. I'm watching Darren, and he has not let go of the side of this boat yet. And I'm just like, Darren, are you okay there? And he's like, yeah, I'm doing fine. And then I ask him, Darren, do you swim? No. And that was my introduction to Darren and his fact that he will sell himself on anything if he really, really wants to go. Hanging out with stingrays was going to happen whether he knew how to swim or not.
I can swim enough. I had 2 or 3 surgeries on my ears when I was a little kid, and I wanted to do swim lessons. But every time I would do swim lessons, I still have a hard time swimming because of my ears. And so I love the water so much, and I love and especially stingrays. I've been watching The Crocodile Hunter a lot, and I was like, hey, stingrays, I can't swim, and there's stingrays down here. I mean, this is where I need to be.
Apparently, it's safer to wrestle an alligator than to pet a stingray, but let's go do it.
Yes, it is. Hashtag too soon.
Yes, it was too soon.
But it was fun. We had to, I think Darren was one of the people that actually set the stingray up on his back or something and had it pet him, and
good
we
times.
took lots of photos. It was fun.
I still have some of those photos.
a good time.
We had a great time.
Yeah.
The rest of that week was wonderful. We hung out. There was a few ice sculptures that made their way onto the deck that people were pushing around.
Maybe overboard.
On top of those.
We weren't involved with that.
None of us were. No, we were good.
No.
And then I think we saw each other a lot through the years, but then another time we got to rekindle our love affair was up in the Yukon, a whole week trapped up in the Yukon. That was a lot
we
of
went
fun.
from being a week together on a cruise in Mexico to a week in the Yukon.
That's right.
And so
And the sun never
you
went
know,
down.
At this point, Darren is now playing with a group that, I don't know if anybody's even heard of them or seen them. It's do you remember a band called Balsam Range?
Not really, no.
Okay, just wondering.
No.
Darren was definitely picking with those guys. We had a great time. A
Gibson
whole week
Brothers
up
were
there.
up
We
there.
saw 'em.
Brothers.
See our
We
whole-
saw them a
Yeah.
lot.
I
said we saw 'em a lot in between, but that's when we-
every year. I remember the beginning of Balsam Range when I was talking to Darren at IBMA, and he's like, "I got this new thing, new band that I'm starting out with, and I think it's going to be pretty good. I mean, I got some good talent, and I'm pretty excited about it." And I was like, "Yeah, whatever, Darren. Nobody's going to pay attention to you."
Just bouncing ideas for the name.
Exactly.
Do you guys like maybe Pine Range or maybe like Oak or maybe Maple Range? And I'm like, have you thought of Balsam? That's, I don't want to speak of Balsam wood enough.
And
Not
there-
taking credit for it, but
and from there on,
we tried to work Ramblin' Mountain Creek Boys into the last name.
I wish that would have been. I wish you would have done that because that would have really probably set that career
Balsam
on fire.
Range and the Ramblin' Mountain Creek Boys.
So we got to get into the seriousness of what makes. I could get back to what makes Darren tick, Jeremy, and we kind of moved away from it. But Darren, you've been playing music for a fair amount of time, and you mentioned Steve Sutton. Was Steve who got you into music, or were you doing it before that?
I was doing it before that, but he was definitely the mentor that made the big shift for me as far as like really getting serious about it and my ideas of music and especially in music business. I think that's there's a lot of great young talent obviously out there that they've got tools that we didn't have with the internet, but it's really nice to have someone who had been around the business for a really long time, like mentors, like just little things like no tuning on stage or no tuning into the microphone and no doodling between songs. He used to make me hold my hands behind my back on stage. And then I see these young players and they're great players, but they don't, there's like little professional things that are etiquette things that like you know, I think a lot of these kids could really use a mentor.
Yeah.
Can
I suggest that you not be one of them?
Yeah, I want
a positive influence.
That's the first suggestion. But my family, he was great. But my family, everybody in my family played music, so I kind of grew up in it. So I had a very similar experience to what y'all did, but here in Western North Carolina. So.
Was it always mandolin? Is that what you started with?
No, I started out with, we didn't have a mandolin around the house. It was fiddle. My dad played old time fiddle and guitar and electric guitar. And so, Chris Stapleton actually plays my dad's guitar. He's got his guitar and plays it every night.
Really?
And what's strange about bluegrass and, the bluegrass in Western North Carolina and in the mountains of like East Tennessee and Western North Carolina, if you get away from where it was originated, people have more of a hardcore, they have more of a hardcore, almost like protective feeling about the music than the people who actually created the music.
Mm-hmm.
Because the jams in the mountains here, there would be banjos, old time banjos and fiddles, and the bluegrass instruments. But there might be somebody with electric guitar too playing in that. And so you go back to the old recordings, like the Bristol sessions, and then you go back to the 50s and all these video recordings and audio recordings where people went around the mountains and recording these mountain musicians. They were playing bluegrass and these old time tunes, but there were like banjos and fiddles in the mix, but there was electric guitars too. So it wasn't really like this is bluegrass. It was just like mountain music. It was anybody who had an instrument. They were just kind of entertaining each other. Yeah. It was a very rural part of the world. Mm-hmm. And so it was a different kind of mentality.
So you started out playing the fiddle then in that group?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I started out playing fiddle and my dad would play acoustic guitar and electric guitar, but there would be a house full of people and there would be jams. And the Grand Ole Opry was a big part of, because where I live, I was born in 83. But we didn't have cable TV where it was. It's very, very rural. But we could pick up WSM out of Nashville. And so my parents had all these old records and they loved classic bluegrass, but classic country was a big deal too. Mm-hmm. And I found that a lot of people who like bluegrass also like classic country.
Sure.
And so there would be a house full of musicians every Friday and Saturday night if we didn't have a gig somewhere. And they would be singing Bill Monroe and Jim and Jesse and Flatt and Scruggs songs, but then they would also sing Loretta Lynn songs and Conway Twitty. And so, it was just music.
So you mean classic country, you mean like that older stuff? I was thinking more like Achy Breaky Heart, Chrome.
Yeah.
That's classic
Ain't nothing
country.
wrong with the radio.
Honky Tonk Donk Donk was where it peaked.
Well, it's just called beer.
I just want to clarify. I'm sorry. I interrupted your,
no, I think that is
message.
Very common where some of that very classic country, because back then the bluegrass players were almost country stars too. There was a lot of crossover.
I mean, it was the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I look at
So the Opry
especially
night
into the 60s. Boy, I'm telling you, that line absolutely was blurred. You had the Osborne brothers playing full country-ish style. I always love. There's a Bluegrass Festival live tape that I have from Jekyll Island, where the Osbornes are setting up, and it's two lead electric guitars, a steel guitar, electric bass, and a drum set behind Bobby and Sonny, and you're just like,
Well,
and that's a bluegrass festival.
That's just the genre side of it. Even they would play the same bills when they're playing hardcore bluegrass. Bill Monroe was on the same bills as all these major
Yeah.
country artists. So,
Yeah.
it's, you know, the fans
Yeah.
the fans blurred the line more than anything, and it wasn't the fact that
Exactly.
the music was the same. It was just that they
Yeah.
liked all the same things.
So was
Yeah.
your dad the first generation playing music, or did his parents play?
Yeah, his family, everybody, like his mother played. She played guitar and sang, and then my mom, on my mom's side, it was both sides. My granddad on my mother's side, he played old time fiddle and banjo, and so both sides of my family, everybody pretty much played. You know, there were only a couple of people who weren't interested in music, so. Um, it was just a way of life.
Sure.
The Gibson brothers had, you know, they have that song called they called it music, and that was very much the vibe here in the mountains. It was more of a social activity than. Once I got out in the world of bluegrass, I realized that the fans segregated the music, you know, because it was just like, oh, I thought we were just picking. You know, I thought we just liked these songs. You know?
They'll let you know that they did not like your songs. It is a strange
or,
part of
or
it.
the shirt you're wearing, or that you gained weight,
Yeah.
or
Your lack of
or that
hair.
you've lost too much weight.
Yeah.
If you're losing hair,
Yeah.
you look terrible.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
I like you better, fat.
Yeah, exactly. I've had both, man. I've had both. You gained so much weight. What is going on? And then you lose weight, and you're like, man, you look bad. Are you sick? And like, I thought I needed to lose weight.
Don't listen to him. That's what we learned.
Yeah. The cool thing about you, Darren, that I think shows, you talk about all this, and it shows in what you're doing now, because you're taking that a broad aspect of mountain music and just taking it out in the world and not caring about those from outward appearances. You may cry yourself to sleep at night, but outward appearances, you're playing music. I mean, you were talking to me a month ago, I think it was, that we were talking, and you're talking about your new thing. You're doing these square dances and bringing in half of a country band and doing this whole thing with bluegrass and mountain music. So I think it's cool that you're still taking that and standing up for that.
Well, Marty Stewart is a big influence of mine. I love Marty, and you know, bluegrass festivals. They don't call us, and two, there's an oversaturation of bluegrass artists right now. You know, there's about 1,000 great bands going on after the same 200 gigs. You know, and so that's kind of always been the case, and so competition's always been stiff. So. There's two things that you can do. You can either create a new path or stand and argue with an old gate. And so we've just decided, you know, to do things. It's not really a new path. There's several people who have done it, but I love. We still play a few bluegrass festivals when they call. We just don't seek those things out because they're not really seeking us out. But we did like 180 dates last year, you know, because I realized that as we're going through tax season right here, and we're looking at everything we did, and it was a very good year for us. We got a sponsor, we got a corporate sponsor, and we've got a van, a trailer, and so we're taking bluegrass on the road, but we're taking it to different places than traditionally, like that I did with Balsam Range or Alicia Nugent. And the cool thing about it is a lot of the places that we're taking it, they're seeing it for the first time.
Yeah, I was going to say,
which is really cool.
Towards the end of our touring career, we started to do a lot more of that, less of the festivals, which that had been 20 plus years of our life was living in bluegrass festivals, one after another. And that's where those gatekeepers really are, where, you know, they'll slam their lawn chairs shut as loud as they can go. Like the worst thing that happened to those folks is when they started getting those soft cloth lawn chairs, so they couldn't make quite as much noise as those big metal ones that they used to slam shut, just to let you know that they're unpleased with the music you're making. We started doing some of the theaters, and like I said, it's a new audience that didn't come in with preconceived notions of what you had to play to make them happy. They just came and are enjoying the music. And we had a lot more fun at the end doing that. And it's also the competition. Like you said, there's so many bands at that same festival, and they're competing to see who's going to get the most standing ovations or who's going to get hired back for next year. And it's almost like a cutthroat style of, it's the gladiators thrown in front of the people and they're giving you a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
Sure is.
Jeremy, you are painting a horrible picture here.
There was a lot of that.
Yeah. Hey, yeah. Some people would say that's a horrible picture. Others would say that's pretty close to reality. If you've
Good.
no, it's if you've been in the business, that's sometimes that's what it can look like,
It is.
or feel like,
It is.
for sure. And so, what changed for me was during the pandemic when every show went away.
Yeah.
And we started doing these little tiny house concerts, and I found myself going from, we got to do some pretty big stages with the Zach Brown Band and playing the Southern Ground festivals and doing these. We did some arena shows with them, and when you go to play in those big things, and then you go to like nothing, not having any gigs, sitting at home, and that's a pretty humbling experience. But then going back and doing house concerts and watching what happened in those house concerts, people we played for years with Balsam Range who would see us in a theater or at an auditorium, and all of a sudden we're playing in their living room and we're 5 feet away from them, and they're crying. They're having this experience that's a personal connection with the music that they've never had, because when you go see somebody in an auditorium or go see a big show, you don't have that intimate connection. And I'm like, man, this reminds me of growing up in Tuckasegee, North Carolina. This reminds me of the picking sessions that would happen in the house and how that made me feel. And this reminded me why I love music, just getting together in the living room and picking. And there's none of that other stuff that Jeremy was alluding to. None of the other, the stuff that kind of does this, that kind of does, makes that blurs all the I don't want to say, it makes the music business a little less shiny for you, and it really, it boiled it down to bass for me. And I got to thinking about like who and what I want to do with my music, what I want to be. And going back to Marty Stewart, when all of a sudden his brand of country music wasn't relevant anymore, he started playing real country music, but he started going outside of where he said we started going outside of town and playing these little small things, and we worked our way back into town.
Yeah.
And I feel like kind of that's what I'm doing. And
that's like a Monroe kind of move, isn't it? I mean, that's kind of what he was doing in that beginning, work his way out and get into the middle of it. I find this to be very interesting because last night was the Grammy Awards. I don't know if any of you guys.
I turned it on for a few minutes with my kid in the room, and then we turned it off because there was some booty shaking going on.
Much just ran the kid out of the room and turned it back on very quickly.
Yeah. Yes. After the kids were gone. Anyway, I actually kind of had this discussion with my wife and the same sort of ideas. Like the business of music has really changed what music is. And I guess it's not really changed. If you really think about it, this has been the way it has always been, is there's got to be some sensationalism. There's got to be some, obviously competition is what drives that kind of stuff and takes you away from what the art was in the first place, in my opinion.
Exactly.
And I really, I find it very interesting, like I said, in watching the Grammys last night, was to watch how many of these people that I know and I've seen personally that have massive amounts of talent do things that just knock my socks off. There were some people that I listened to their music and I'm like, this is some of the best writing, some of the best arranging I've ever done.
Yeah.
But the show part of the personality that they've had to create in order to get the attention to do, to continue on in a career space is kind of scary to me, because I miss the idea of people being able to just do their art. And I know that sounds like an old man standing here going,
I think that's always been the case with music. It's supposed to be entertainment. They can buy the album and listen to an album, but if you're going to see a performance, it's to be entertained. And I think that it's even back, when some of my favorites, like if you think of Live from the Sands, or what's his name?
Frank Sinatra.
Frank Sinatra. They still had the giant big band on there, and they put on a show. And he may have been sitting on a stool, kind of doing it slow, but it still had to be a big show. And
Yeah.
A big show, but I guess my problem with it lately has become, and I don't know if this is where we want to turn this.
I think
podcast or
what
not.
you're saying is they're doing something to stand out, which goes
To
back to
stand
what
out.
Darren's, the competition that's out there. I
Yes.
mean, imagine what the pop world is. You have billions of people trying to break into the pop world right now.
You mean there's more
Yeah.
people trying to be a pop star than a
Yeah.
bluegrass star?
But you really have
I
to
don't
be
know.
something
I
stupid.
don't think
Well, that's close. Hey, those lines are getting blurred
there's
too.
probably more listeners in pop than players.
But
in
imagine
bluegrass.
trying to be a young pop artist trying to go, and then the machine behind you that's going to invest all this money. You have a lot of pressure to do something outrageous
That's what I.
and
That's
look
what I saw.
ridiculous. And
And it's always been, like I said, you have the monkeys. That was a side of it where you're just bringing in this extra. But yeah, but I still feel
got
like
the
there was
monkeys
still
and the
allowed to be.
zebras. John's just naming
I'm
zoo
just
animals
naming-
right now. You got the monkeys. My favorites are the zebras.
So moving away from the philosophy of music and entertainment, we skipped over a big chapter. When Darren came out with a solo album, I was completely blown away. That was one of I think that was before Balsam Range, wasn't it?
The first one?
Your solo album.
Which one?
I can't remember the name of it. The first one he gave us.
Help him out, Darren. Which one is he thinking
No,
of?
I'm gonna sit here patiently until you come up with it. Are you talking about Things Left Undone? Are you
Yes,
talking
Things
about
Left
that, right?
Undone. Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's all I have to say about that. Thank you.
No, when that came out, we were listening to it nonstop. It really was one of our favorite projects. And when you were with Alicia, you were definitely a sideman, and I think you sang one or two songs lead, but it was, you were the backup musician. And then when you went out on your own, it's like, dang, Darren's a good singer and he's writing some good songs. And it was a great
Oh my
album.
God, that album, it was all right.
It was one of my
I'm really,
favorites.
it was. I'm really proud of that record. I've done a bunch of records since then, and people still come up and say it was their favorite record. So, yeah.
What was that
That was a good
timeline?
one
So you
for me.
were in with Alicia for a good long while.
3 years. It was 2004 to 2006, and I just actually just talked to her the other day. I'm going to get to do a show with her in May. She's coming back to play Steve Sutton Fest. I do a nonprofit every year, and she's going to be on the show.
Cool.
And come sing some of her songs. But during that time, we were playing the Grand Ole Opry, and the mandolin, the headstock has a point on a F style. It's a real sharp point. And we were getting ready to go down to do the Opry one night, and we'd been rehearsing it. And we both stood up across from this coffee table at the same time, and I hit her right between the eyes with the point of that mandolin. And Alicia was all about getting dolled up and looking good, and she always looked great. But it left a big bruise, and it kept getting black and bigger, and it kept swelling as she was going. She was so mad at me. But yeah, 2004 to 2006, I did a lot of really dumb stuff like that with Alicia Nugent, and
And that
that was a
band,
great time.
that band
I
was
got to
you and
make
Steve
it.
Sutton and
Andy
Andy
Falco?
Falco and
Andy, it was
me
in,
at one point.
yeah, you at
couple
one
shows?
point we had Gina Britt was in the band for a year, and then we had a young lady for 1 year. It was Falco and Steve and Jennifer Strickland and from Missouri,
Mhm.
and Andy Hall played dobro. So we had two of the Andys, two of the string dusters were in that band. And then the year before that, when I started, it was Josh Matheny and John and TJ Osborne, who are now brothers Osborne.
Mm.
So that was fun.
I
I
did
didn't
not know
know
that.
that.
Fun band.
Wow.
Yeah, that was 2004. Yeah, we went to Europe with that band. They were a hoot, man. Those guys were insane. They were so fun.
So after the
But,
Alicia thing, what were you doing? Did it go straight into Balsam Range, or was it?
Yeah, I came home. That was the end of 2006. I think August or September of 2006, I left that band. And then in January of 2007, it wasn't long. We started Balsam Range, and that went 15 years.
Now, was that project meant to be like a full-time gig? Because I almost feel like when I talk to you, it's kind of like we're doing some stuff around home and we're just kind of doing a little things, or was that a plan?
He was just being humble.
I was just being modest. I mean, we're like, we're going to take over the world, but we're not going to tell people that. But,
We'll let them find out.
No, we were. That was, we all lived in Western North Carolina, and there's such an opportunity to make a living playing bluegrass here. And so, we're like, hey, we're going to do these local gigs and supplement our income. And I went back into the banking world. I was a banker.
Mm-hmm.
And so.
Do you mean a teller?
I was. Well, I was cleaning a bank.
I'm a banker. I was cleaning a bank.
I was cleaning a bank.
I'm in the banking industry.
I think banker. I was in the banking industry, but I think banking sounds better.
What's the craziest thing you sent through the pneumatic tube? That's what I want to know.
Okay, this is true story. I swear on this. The craziest things I sent through and of course I'll never work at a bank again because of the way I ended my banking career. But the craziest things that went through the drive-through were a quart of white liquor, moonshine, and a pistol, a firearm. And it wasn't. I didn't put it in there, but.
You gotta send that back.
There was a.
That's a weird way to hold up a bank. Like, hey, I'm gonna send this gun. I'm holding up the bank.
Yeah, hold this on yourself, and be serious about it when you do. But there was a guy who worked across the street. He owned the Super Loop, and he was a great guy. But he came in the drive-through one day, and he had this pistol laying in the seat. And I said, Craig, I said, man, it was the judge. It was one of those pistols that shot the 14 shotgun shells. I said, is that the judge? And he goes, yeah, I just got this thing. I was like, I've always wanted to see one of those. And so I'm doing his transaction, and he puts and I pull the teller drawer in, and the gun is in the teller drawer. And I said, Craig, this is a bank. You cannot send a firearm into the bank through the drive-through. And he goes, oh, okay, I'm sorry. And I turned around 5 minutes later, and he had brought it into the lobby. He brought it inside, so I could see it. And I was like,
Tales from North Carolina.
You can't do that either. He's the same guy who put moonshine in the drive-through too.
I like that.
That's the best.
So,
no matter what, it's the same guy. And,
but I'm not allowed, I'm not allowed to be a banker anymore, near a bank. I'm not allowed to clean a bank anymore.
So that brought you back to music.
Yeah, that brought me back to music. Yeah. When I got out of jail, I was like, man, I need to earn some money somehow.
It's the Johnny Cash story all over.
Balsam Range. Mark Pruitt had been with Ricky Skaggs. He'd done 5 albums with Ricky, and my favorite is Bluegrass Rules. I love that record.
Sure.
That was a major big record for me, and the banjo playing on that is just
super
ridiculous
solid.
and
super solid.
And Tim Surratt had done a record in 1999 called Mountain Home, and that's how that label started, the record label. It was a great gospel record. It had Vince Gill and Adam Steffi on it, and Mark Pruitt was on that record. And so a bunch of us found ourselves here in Western North Carolina at the same time, and we just decided to do a few shows, and next thing you know, we ended up doing more than we intended, and it was a good run. So
yeah,
very thankful for 15 years of, who knows what God's got in store for you, but it was a good time for sure. And I got to meet the Chapmans. I got to stay a week in the Yukon with the Chapmans.
We did some silly stuff throughout the years while
they played here when we had the TV show going. They were one of our most regular guests.
Yeah.
Almost every year they stopped by the shop and performed.
Yeah. We would come to Branson every year and play Silver Dollar City, and And I love doing that. I love Silver Dollar City. That's one of my favorite places, and I'd like to get back there one of these days
Nope.
too. Bring my band.
Come on, I'll get you some tickets. We'll go hang out on the
Get us a
roller
turkey
coasters.
leg.
Yeah,
Walk around the
that'd
park
be
with a
good.
turkey leg.
I'd like to go for the food.
There you go. It'd be good times. So now you got it's Darren Nicholson, the solo artist that has now got his own, and it's kind of gone through some changes, right? So at first, when I first saw you, you were doing it as a trio, and now it's like a mix of all kinds of various different variations of this band. So what are we at now? What is the
What do you
configuration?
call the music that you're making now? What genre am I allowed to put this in?
Well, it's always been it's always been a full band, but sometimes we travel as a trio. Sometimes we do duets. I do a lot of duets with my buddy Sean Lane.
Mhm.
And so this is another, I think it's a missed opportunity in bluegrass, and I don't know if people don't do it or they just won't do it, but basically we treat our product like a menu. When you go into a restaurant, you don't get one choice, right? And so, if a buyer only has enough money for a duet,
Sure.
so if I'm traveling as a 5-piece band and we've got to have $10,000 to go do a show, that really cuts down on the amount of shows you can do. Where if we can only go play for $10,000, and we've got all 5 people have to be present. But if you can say, hey, if you can only afford 3 pieces, or if you want to do a duet, or if you want to do and so the way we do it is it's generally a 5-piece band, and if people want to add, and we carry banjo, it's banjo, bass, mandolin, guitar, and we do carry a snare drum because I've always said the bluegrass that I grew up on, of this, all those records of Jimmy Martin and Jim and Jesse and the Osbournes, that's traditional bluegrass to me.
Sure it is.
And I wanted to have that sound, and so if people want to add the fiddle when we go to a festival, we'll take both because I think people expect that, But we also do add-ons. If you want a dance caller, we'll bring a dance caller. If we're doing a wedding and you want us to bring a DJ, we'll do that. And so we do it. We treat it like a menu. You can take away. You can, if you only want the appetizer, So it allows us to work and do all these different events, and we can actually cater our band to whatever your need is. And I just don't see a lot of other bands doing that.
No, definitely not.
I think that's
I'm
pretty
curious.
smart. Well,
I'm
before
curious.
you ask that, I'm curious. With this menu, can I order the Darren Nicholson band without the Darren Nicholson?
Yes, you can. That's actually the most popular. That's the most popular item on the menu.
It's like ordering a hamburger. Could you leave off the hamburger? I just want the
Yeah.
bone in the.
And what's funny is I have sent the band without me before because people are like, "Hey, we just want some bluegrass for our wedding," and I'm like, "Well, look, this is mine and my wife's anniversary." They're like, "Well, we don't care. We just want some bluegrass." So I'll send the band, and they go and they get somebody else to play the mandolin.
You still took your cut, though. I know you did.
Well, I mean, who's gonna pay for anniversary dinner? I mean, come on, the band.
Exactly.
Dang right. What I was going to ask, well, I like Jeremy's question. By the way, I like Jeremy's questions much better. Is I'm curious about switching over to a duo. So,
Yeah.
this is a weird thing for me, and I want to know what I've tried to do this a couple times. That's an absolutely uncomfortable moment for myself. Solo act. I had somebody ask me to do a solo thing, and I did most of the lead singing and guitar. That's an easy thing to do that. Boy, does that take away everything that I was comfortable with. I'm used to a 4 to 5 piece band. I'm used to feeling like, hey, when I mess up, you guys got my back, right? And I never had anybody to get my back, but that's a whole nother story. But that feeling of doing that, how do you switch to going, hey, we're going to do this as a duo? What does that feel like? And is it more preparation?
Is it an entirely different
less?
set list, or do you change parts the way you stack them? Have more fun with the freedom of filling in?
Yes, it's all those things, and it definitely changes the set list. But I honestly think this is why a lot of bands don't do this because one, it's very exposing
Yes.
and it's extremely hard. And I made myself do it uncomfortably. I would book solo shows and I would make myself do it till I got better at it because as a guitar player, playing leads, you're playing leads with all these other people around you playing rhythm, right? And so you're not thinking about
Support.
playing rhythm while you're playing lead.
Mm-hmm.
And so that I started developing my lead playing. That's why Doc Watson always sounded so good. And like I lean more toward people like Sam Bush and people like Doc Watson and Brian Sutton and Tim O'Brien, because even when they're playing their leads, the rhythm doesn't go away. You know where the beat is. And that's why people like that can do solo shows. But if you've got somebody like, and who's an amazing musician that plays like an Adam Steffi style of mandolin, they have to have a rhythm section behind them to make that work because they're playing dotted eighth and 16th notes with no rhythm under it. And so you've got to play your rhythm with your lead at the same time. So it changes, one, the way you play.
It does.
But I also think that's why a lot of the mountain players played with such strong rhythm, like especially from North Carolina, Kentucky. They play different from like you. If you go to different parts of the country, like California, the Northeast, but if you get in East Tennessee, Kentucky, North Carolina, there's like this drive in the music, and I think it's because of it comes from them playing like fiddle banjo, like. When there was a party 100 years ago, the fiddle and the banjo were the band, and you had to play your own rhythm so these people could dance. And so there's this really strong sense of time, and even with the lead breaks.
Yeah.
And the same way with the fiddle. When Michael Cleveland's playing the fiddle, I can still hear rhythmically where he is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's not just floating on top of a rhythm section. And so that's where I started changing the way I played leads, and I played a lot of double stops and I play a lot of open strings ringing, and it changed, kind of the way I use my right hand, but also the material that I pick to where, you don't want to play down the road, as a solo person because it's just built for a band and all these little things, and there are certain songs that lend themselves to to duet songs,
I think vocally it's pretty fun too, like the Louvin brothers or even Skaggs and Rice, where they're able to, especially the harmony singer is able to switch between baritone and tenor parts, where if you had three, you'd be stepping on each other and you have to be a lot more regimented.
Yeah,
and Sean Lane is so great at that. Oh my gosh, he's all over the place.
And he did great doing the solo stuff for a while, just going out, just him and a guitar.
A baritone singer really gets in his way.
Yeah.
He's like Harley Allen. He'll wreck a baritone singer's day.
No, I think this is something that musicians need to kind of recognize, because I get even ones that are inspired to kind of be more into bluegrass, and they're just like, man, all I've ever done was singer-songwriter stuff, and this is all I've ever, and they're like, I just can't understand what you're doing. And it's like, these are totally different styles, even for guitar or singing or whatever the instrument is. And I think that's, you're correct. I think that's what makes it, for guys like me to kind of go out. I've done some of those. I get it, but boy, does it take a whole different thought process. You have to sit here, like you said, and think of if you're going to play a guitar solo while you're the only guitar or only instrument playing, you need to figure out how to keep people along with it. Because those single notes solos that you've been playing with the band supporting it,
doesn't work.
It feels like you got these big holes of space that nothing, you don't allow the listener to follow you. And I think for those kind of players that want to get more into the flat picking world of single note kind of deal, is to recognize that that's a different style, and you shouldn't automatically, you can be the greatest guitar player in the entire world in your style does not mean that you're not now, because you can't quite, it just means time and figuring out how to do a different style altogether.
Yes.
So,
and they're both great, and it's apples and oranges, and And the thing to keep in mind is when you're playing solo, like especially like Doc Watson or Tim O'Brien or Sam Bush, people like that, like even when they're playing solo, when you're playing solo, even when you're playing your leads, people have to be able to pat their foot to it.
Yeah.
And if you just take a solo and it's just notes where you would normally plug in where there's a rhythm section kind of holding you up, that's where people have to be able to pat their foot to it.
Sure.
And that's why, and so but what I notice about great musicians like that, if you plug them in with a band, that works too, but it doesn't work the other way.
Yep.
And so I had to work on that. I had to really put a lot of time in on that. But
so I'd like to take over a section of this podcast and selfishly ask some of your influences on mandolin, because you are one of my favorite mandolin players to jam with and play with, but to listen to.
Oh man,
you play fun. Like you're doing these licks, and it's like, oh, that's so cool. How did you figure that out? It has kind of some Dempsey Young feel to it, influence. What were some of your mandolin influences? I mean, so far you've been mentioning a lot of guitar players that kind of influence you. Was it guitar players that kind of helped you with your style? Or were there some mandolin players that you emulated and stole licks from?
Well, locally here, there was a guy named Mike Hunter. And can you hear me?
Yeah.
You still got me?
I got you.
Okay. Yeah, there was a musician here named Mike Hunter, and he has an album called Magician of the Mandolin. And Mike he may be the best mandolin player I've ever heard, but he played with Jimmy Martin in 74, 75, but he played with the Mark Pruitt Band, so you can hear it on some of the Mark Pruitt Band recordings, the live live from center stage, and his mandolin playing is just so rhythmic and so bouncy, and it's very reminiscent of the tone and a lot of the styles of Dempsey Young, but a little more driving. But I love Mike Hunter. The ones I grew up listening to were Jesse McReynolds and Jethro Burns and Bobby Osborne and Bill Monroe. And those were the ones that I heard first. And so I do think I was influenced by them. I do a little cross picking like Jesse. But I would, Tim O'Brien, Sam Bush, Marty Stewart is a big one for me. I love his music, but it definitely leans more toward a lot of the older guys. I've had several people tell me they hear Grisman in my playing, but I've loved his playing, but I've never studied him like I have the others.
I'm gonna have to look up Michael. I don't think I've run across any of his music, but sounds like my style.
Yeah.
I'm really into this idea of now that I listen to it, this driving style of your playing, and when you say that, it makes a whole lot more sense. The double stops, the spacing of things that you're adding, new fullness to mandolin that's not just single note stuff.
Still driving.
I really find that to be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's and Steve, interesting talk about mandolin. The most influential piece of advice I got from mandolin was from a banjo player. So in these conversations that Steve and I would have going back and forth to Nashville, I was a young musician. I guess I was 18 or 19 when I started playing the Opry with Alicia. And so we were going from here in North Carolina to Nashville all the time. And I didn't know what my identity was. When you're a young musician, you love everything.
Sure.
Everything's great, and it is. But I had really gotten deep into Mike Compton, and Mike is one of my good pals. I love his playing, love his music. He's got such a thing, and I had really gone down that rabbit hole and but I was just searching because all of these musicians come along in little classes like locusts in little 5-year clusters. And the musicians that were in my class that are my age are Ashby Frank, Aaron Ramsey, Andy Ball, and there were a bunch of us that were in Nashville about that time, and we were all the same age, but everybody was playing modern mandolin because Adam Steffi was such a huge influence on everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I just I couldn't play it, but it's not what I was hearing or feeling. And Steve said, don't feel bad about that. He said, I think what a lot of these musicians are missing is they get caught up in playing a style. And he said, remember that the song is boss. He said, you know how you love Mike Compton kicking off Man of Constant Sorrow on that record because it's got all this grit and this power that's raw. And I said, yeah. And he said, well, Adam Steffi he would do something that was great on that, but it wouldn't be the same, right? And I was like, no, Mike Compton owns that, and he said, well, Mike Compton probably wouldn't sound as good on Every Time You Say Goodbye either.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, and so instead of trying to really play a style, why don't you try to play what fits the song? And that just kind of opened my head up to, oh man, when it comes time to play like something Monroe-y, I'll do that. But when it comes time to play something pretty or delicate, it didn't occur to me that you could do both. And there's a few mandolin players out there that do that. And one of them is Jesse Brock. He does everything,
I hear it.
But do you know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying.
And where the song is kind of boss.
Yes. I think that's a key to any time any musician, I think is one of the best pieces of advice you can give is recognize that. No, I always told students, nobody comes away from a concert humming the solo of any instrument. They come away humming the melody of whatever song they fell in love with that night. And you got to remember that. And even when you build your solos, you have to build that and remember that you're just reinforcing what that great song was. So anyway.
Sure.
All right, I got another one for you. Can you just give, I know you've discussed this previously in other videos, but a little bit of the story. I was really excited when you got Ferdinand, your Lloyd Loar mandolin. But that was a pretty cool story about how that all came about, and I thought it'd be worth sharing with everybody that's a mandolin enthusiast out there.
Yeah. Oh, I love this.
Mandolin
I love
Nerd
talking
Talk.
about Ferdinand.
Welcome. Yeah.
He's here.
Thank you for tuning in to Mandolin Nerd Talk with our guest.
Check it out. It's a
This is
mandolin.
And I have played this. It is an awesome mandolin. And
yeah, it's a June 13, 1923 Lloyd Loar, and it's serial number. I think it's 7.
You should have this memorized.
72. Yeah, I don't, but I do have my here. I will give you my social security number. It is 24.
How did
It's
somebody
all
like
original.
you end up with a mandolin like that?
That's a good question.
Well, I used to take firearms in at the bank, and I sold a bunch of white liquor through the bank. Moonshiner.
yeah,
So
modern day.
anyway,
No,
I ended up with this mandolin.
This mandolin came out of the Northwest, if I remember right. Is that correct?
This came out of Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
That way, yeah. And my good friend Danny Roberts, you all know Danny.
Yep.
Danny, he actually flew out there with me to get it, and it's all original. Even this crazy tailpiece
Which is
right here. That's
super cool.
yeah. The guy who owned it, Ferdinand, was a jeweler, and he took the Gibson off and he did all this crimping and this work on this tailpiece and put his name in it. The only thing that's not original is the truss rod cover, which is silver, and he put his initials in that.
Yeah.
So he apparently used some kind of cleaner on the tuners. It's the tuners are really clean, but these are the original frets. The frets have never even been dressed.
Wow. Well,
So
you'll put an end to
it's,
that.
So what are you going to do when
Yeah.
you have to put new frets on it? What's going to happen here?
I'm just going to play it until it comes time. I mean, it's basically a museum quality piece. When Walter Carter at Carter Vintage, when he appraised it, he said, of all the ones I've ever seen, this is probably the nicest or one of the nicest ones I've ever appraised.
Wow.
So it's in really good shape.
And I remember talking to you like right after you got that. On a personal level, you're like, I never thought I would own a Lloyd Lore. Like that's always kind of one of those things that us mandolin players think, oh, how cool would that be? You see other people that's two or three of them, and you're like, there's an envy there, but something like I'll never get to that point. So tell us quickly, I guess, how that happened. You had heard about it years before, right?
I did, yeah, and I consider this like a gift of sobriety. I've been sober 5.5 years, and so I'd been out in Montana with my son playing some shows out west, and vacationing, played a couple of shows, and there was a guy, became a good friend. He saw us play, and he lives in Ogden, Utah, and so he went back and he got interested in the mandolin because he saw us play. And he went into a guitar center there and said, hey, I would like to buy a mandolin. And the guy in the guitar center said, well, do you want a cheap one or a really expensive one? And he said, well, I just want a cheap one, but what do you mean? And he said, well, I personally own, I've got this Lloyd Lore for sale. And so, he said, well, I'm not interested in that, but I know a guy. And so he got in touch with me. And so at the time, I was interested in it. I was going to get with a friend and maybe try to get it as an investment. I was kind of rebuilding my life. I was putting my life back together, Jeremy, Jason, as Roadhog would say. I'd been locked up in the hospital drying out, so I didn't have a whole lot of extra cash laying around. But me and a buddy of mine, we had thought about getting this as an investment, and it just didn't happen because it wasn't the right time, I guess, on God's time. But fast forward a couple of years later into a pandemic, a friend of mine sent me a message of a mandolin he had seen in Florida, a Lloyd Lore, and it was beat all to pieces and not as nice as Ferdinand. And he said, are these things still worth anything? And I said, yeah, they are. And for whatever reason, I was doing a gig down in East Tennessee, and I just called the guy up and I said, hey, I'm just out of curiosity, do you still have that mandolin? He said, yeah, I do. And I said, well, would you still be interested in selling it? And he said, yeah. And we talked about, the price, and I offered it, a price, and he got real quiet on the phone. And he said, well, I'd rather a player have it than a collector. And there's a reason, I guess it's kind of weighted here on you. And so he goes, it's yours. And I hung up the phone, and I'm got to go back and play a set of music. Right. And I'm like, what just happened? I think I just bought a mandolin. And I'm like panicking because I was just calling to see if he still had it, and I'm like, oh my God, what has happened here? And so I called Danny Roberts. I called my wife, and I knew this friend of mine. I knew that he would invest with me, and I wasn't that big a deal. But this is how great my wife is. Whenever I got done with that gig, I was on my way home, and she said, I've been thinking a lot about this mandolin. She said, if you buy something like this as an investment with somebody, she goes, where does the mandolin stay? Do you get to play it? Who decides when it gets sold? What if you want to keep it? What if you get it and you really like it? And she said, I think this is, with everything that you've gone through and the way that you're rebuilding your life and the track that you're on now, she said, I think this is an opportunity for God is looking favorably upon you. And if there's any way for you to get this mandolin on your own, I think you should do it without investing with your buddy. She said, so whatever we need to do. So I went and refinanced my house, and we got a new bathroom out of the deal too. We got the mandolin, and we got a new bathroom.
So she's happy.
There you go.
You're happy.
I was ready for you to say I went to the bank and slid a gun into this drawer. Said I need a loan.
Yeah. I took a gun into the bank and I said, I'm going to get a mandolin.
One way or another.
I drank a bunch of white liquor, and then I took a gun into the bank, and the rest is history. You too can get a Lloyd Lore mandolin.
No, I think that's great.
That's
And
amazing.
like I told you when you told me that story, I think there's nobody I'm more excited for to get one of those. I'm jealous of everyone that gets one, but I was like, yeah, Darren deserves this, so I'm excited for you. And it's a good one.
Well, I'm super proud to have it, and it is a gift, and it's just a really incredible instrument, and I play it quite a bit. It's on all my records, all my new records, and you're welcome to come play it anytime you want to, bro.
How about, can I use the new bathroom?
Yeah, you're welcome to come get it. You're welcome to come take a shower.
Take
Now,
the
if there's
mandolin in
anything
there
else
with
in the
me.
bathroom, you can stay out there.
Can we take the mandolin into the new?
That's where the best acoustics are.
It is. It's always in the bathroom. Yeah.
I love it. I love having Darren here. For you guys listening,
Jason's been a little too quiet
He
for my
never talks on
liking.
these
I'm listening.
podcasts. He's
Well,
He's
they
retrospect.
don't give me a chance to speak.
you gotta speak up, bud.
Jason, what would you like to say?
I love you, Darren. You are still and always will be one of my favorite people.
it's true.
I'm proud of you.
Yep.
For all that you've done. I'm proud that you got that mandolin. I like the fact that you don't treat it so reverently as a lot of lure owners do. You understand that it's a gift, but it's also a
tool.
cool tool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something that you play and you let other people play. That's one thing about you. I watch these guys and you get together at IBMA or these places where all these lures gather together and everybody's standing around them with lock and key. And you just leave yours laying on the stage. Here, play it.
Give them to a kid.
Yes.
And if I see a kid with
I've seen you hand
Well,
it
if
to
I
a
see a
kid.
kid with peanut butter jelly sticky hands, I'll just say, "Here,
Yeah.
have at it."
I literally know he leaves them. In fact, sometimes puts them in the wrong case and walk away. True story. Anyway,
I know that Jeremy's going to sell me my next mandolin. I do know that.
Hey, put it up for
And-
sale.
he put it up for sale.
And right here, he did not put it up for sale.
It is on the website.
It's there if anybody wants to pay for it.
Jeremy put it up for sale.
I know. I'm going to regret it if it does sell.
I'm wearing the Acoustic Shop shirt, and you heard it here first. If you go to the Acoustic Shop website and buy 2 sets of strings, you get a free Martin guitar.
That is actually
That's,
a true.
And a Bill Monroe Hall of Fame mandolin.
You got to put in the code Darren Nicholson.
Wow.
We really need to sell these strings.
Enter the code, Darren.
We have to sell more strings.
That's because you're covering the difference.
Guitars
right?
are easy. Strings are the problem.
There's lots of competition out there for people that like say, buy a guitar, get a free set of strings. We're like, what if they just buy the strings and we give them a guitar?
Yeah.
Nobody's
Hey.
doing that.
Thinking man.
Be a customer for
I like a
life.
thinking man.
Strings are selling like hotcakes.
Well, if you give them a guitar, they're always going to buy strings.
See?
I mean, do I have to
We got
think
'em
of
hooked.
everything?
That's right.
Got 'em
It's the
hooked.
long play.
By the
This is
way,
a long play.
the greatest photo ever taken at a Bluegrass festival was taken with Darren Nicholson. It's the one with Darren Nicholson showing off his black and white belly hair and belly button and Sierra Hull pointing at it. I don't know which
Nobody
one of us
knows
took
what you're
that
talking
photo,
about.
but
Touching
it's
it. Touching it.
We'll have to.
She's not pointing at it.
I hope we can like
She's
put a little
touching
photo
it.
into this podcast. So
Yeah.
it was funny. We're
An
in.
audio format podcast.
Yeah.
We're going to share this photo.
It's also on YouTube,
Lord.
Jason. It's a video. What are the cameras doing here? If this is audio, anyway.
why did I dress up?
up
Wait a
in
second.
up in the Yukon, one of the
Yeah,
funniest
why
things.
did I dress up?
One of the
am I
funniest
wearing
things
pants?
about the Yukon is we get there and the front page of one of the magazines is this big beer belly. Like I don't remember what it was about, but it's just that's the
That's
A
photo.
man's hairy
a man's
gut.
hairy gut, and it's almost like realistic size. So we had Darren put it inside of his shirt and unbutton it so it looked like his belly. And then Sierra Hull was standing there right
It
when that
looked
happened.
exactly like my belly. It looked exactly like my belly.
But it was actually a magazine.
in print. I loved it. Anyways, good guy.
She was a good sport about it.
She was. Darren's a good guy. Makes great music.
I like that we're starting this year out without a feud.
Yeah,
Life's
I'm
too
glad.
short.
Life's
Yeah.
too short. No more fighting.
Well, when you grew the goatee in to fill in that mustache, that was a start. That was a good start.
Kristen has been.
That brought a little forgiveness into my
that's what we
heart.
call an olive branch.
Yeah. Kristen has been kind of a mediator between the two of us. She's like, she goes back to Darren and says, Jeremy says you hurt his feelings when you talked about his mustache. And then Darren comes back.
I love her, man.
She's a sweetheart.
She's a good egg.
Yes, she is. They all. This whole bunch is. I have to say, the most fun part of doing the Acoustic Shop Knows podcast has been getting to be around the people that we don't get to see as much anymore, and yet telling stories and hearing about where they're at right now. Sometimes I miss being out on the road. Then again, sometimes I don't. And but when I'm around Darren, I'm like, I would like to go hang out with that guy again. That would be a good time. So,
And we do sometimes.
Well,
yep.
Well, come see us. We're going to be on the road a bunch this year. We're coming to Colorado, and we're actually bringing a dance caller. Our friend Heidi Coolis. We're still doing songs in the shows. It's not all dance, but we're doing audience participation dance. So
That's cool.
We're getting people who have never done a mountain style square dance, and then we're going to play the music, live music, and square dance, so the audience can participate.
Very cool.
We're going to be taking that. We're bringing that to Cortez, Colorado, this July. We're also bringing it to Wyoming, and then so we're going to be out west for a couple of weeks in July. We're going to go back to Montana and Colorado, Wyoming, make the rounds. But we're also here in Western North Carolina, and I've got a new vinyl coming out this year. I've been writing a lot of songs, and so that'll be out in the next 2 or 3 months. It's called Lonesome Trails and Tall Tales.
I love it.
I like it. You already have me hooked.
Yep. It's a winner already. I can tell. That's good. Well, good. Yeah, absolutely. Go check it out. Check out DarrenNicholson.com. Is it music.com?
It's DarrenNicholson.net, you dunce.
Wow. That's all the cool kids are doing.
Dang.
That was hardcore.
Yeah, remember that time I said that I
He
wanted to
said
go
that
hang out?
was hardcore. That's the way to do an interview with somebody's like, hey, go check out this guy's website. That's the wrong website, you idiot.
So now John and Darren feuding.
Yeah, now I'm pissed off.
Yeah.
And
me and Jeremy are fine, but John, .com, that is so 2006.
.ai.
.net is back in, baby.
It was just a cheaper
And
domain.
check out my MySpace.
.edu. DarrenNicholson.edu.
Ever since Darren Nicholson called me a dust.
it's over, friend. But you don't want me on your enemies list. You don't even understand. I guarantee you there's going to be a big old flaming pile of poo on your front door.
Good. Yeah, it looks like Digger Cleverly.
Well,
anyways,
I needed to start a new feud today. Yeah,
I'm glad
I haven't started a feud with anyone today. And,
the first of the
so
year.
Here we go.
All right, well, good.
Of the day.
Can we end this piece of crap now?
I want to end it with Darren was always so good for jokes and always good for a laugh. And I'm going to end it with the
I don't know if this
punchline
is
to my
good.
favorite joke.
Can you tell any of Darren jokes?
Can this be done?
I'm not going to tell the joke, but I'm just going to say it made him mean. I never laughed so hard.
Oh, I told that joke. I went to the Yukon with my band last year, and we were in a van with several other bands going back to the airport, and I told that joke, and it was silent, radio silence. And Richard, who plays in our band, he saved me because I'm like, I mean, I've never had a joke bomb so hard. It was like crickets. And Richard goes, come on, folks. These jokes aren't going to laugh at themselves. And everybody started laughing a little bit, and he really dug me out of a hole right there. That was it.
Last time I told
It
that
landed with me. It stuck with me for what? That's
tells it
close
all
to
the
10
time.
years now.
He tells
So,
it all the time.
One of my favorites. And
That's a good one.
Are you
you're
gonna
one of
share
my
it?
favorites, Darren.
Yes, you are.
You always will be.
I love you
Thanks
guys.
for doing this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We will see you on the road sometime. Sometime you're going to come back here and we will do something together. And
Yep.
yeah.
Thanks for having me. I can't wait to see you all. And I love your music. I bought your. I tell you this all the time. I bought your record at that festival in North Platte, Nebraska, all those years ago. That had Consider the Lilies and all that stuff. And I was a Chapman's fan. We listened to that record all the way back to North Carolina, and I've been a fan ever since. And then when I got to know you, I realized how crazy you were, and I was like, man, I could hang out with these guys.
What a bunch of idiots. Anyway, yeah, what a bunch of
You
dunces.
dunce.
All right. Well, the Acoustic Shop knows Darren Nicholson. And
Even more.
Even more. And we love you very much, Darren, and we will see you soon.
Thanks for representing.
Hey, love you guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, guys. We got to know Darren a little bit more. He does not have a .com. It was a .net.
You dunce.
He does. That's when you know he went
He
to
hurt
reserve
my
it. Somebody
feelings.
either already has, which if you want to go to darrennicholson.com, let us know what's on that site.
Lord
Or
knows what's on that. He probably reserved it in his earlier
It's probably
life.
his site, too.
or it cost too much and he just went with the .net because it was $5 cheaper per month.
No, he tried to. He called me a dunce, and I will never forgive him for it because that was rude. That was just
I do recommend if you haven't listened to some of Darren's music, I know you guys all have, but outside of the Balsam Range group, he's put out some really cool solo recordings, and then his new group is just a lot of fun. It's different. We got on our YouTube channel. Go check that out. We got Darren Nicholson dropped by the shop with that new group. He played an octave, octolindo, I think he had at the time. So really cool stuff.
Yep.
Check that out if you have
Darren,
not.
I want to say this about Darren. I want to be serious for a second. I'm really proud of Darren. He was a lot of fun, but he was also kind of on a bad path, and he's very inspiring to see the past. I don't know how many years. He's
5 years?
He said 5 years is what he said.
It's been sober and doing amazing things. He's cleaned up everything about himself. And as an inspiration to you out here, you know, I won't be as much fun when I'm clean and sober. He's more fun than he's ever been. So I'm really proud of Darren as a friend and
I have to say that's
an amazing person.
There's two musicians that I know of that went down sort of the same path and have talked about it at length. Ned Luberecki and Darren
He's
Nicholson.
never been funny.
No, we had, and it was a different kind of, but both of them recognized that they were on a path to something that was getting very destructive. And it's awesome to be able to see both of them. And you're right. Darren was one of those guys that's like, holy smokes, it's a laugh a minute all the time. And you're like, you know, again, you're scared for him. You love him. You're just like, oh, this is going to be. And when he said, you know, hey, I'm changing. This is going to be it. And you're like, I'm glad for you. I really am. But is it going to be the same Darren anymore? And what was funny was what you just said, which is it's a different one. It's one that's under control now and understands.
You can have a serious conversation with this Darren.
He remembers
but
what you
then
talked
you can
about.
still have a lot of fun.
We can have silly
So,
ones too.
Yeah, I'm real proud
I'm
of
very,
him
very-
as a friend.
I'm sad
and
we
I
didn't get
hope
to talk about his karaoke skills because he does own a karaoke stage.
Me and him did
Like-
Skyrockets in Flight one night, and that was a disaster. I'll say that was before his sobriety and mine. I'll be honest with you.
But yeah,
I thought the lyrics were going to be easier. Anyway,
I
Or
do
more
believe
appropriate.
I have that on video,
Yes.
and I might share it later.
no, I love Darren. I'm so happy that we got him on here. And
Yep.
yeah, it was a good one.
I can't wait to
Jeremy.
talk to our next person that we know.
Who's going to be?
The people have to wait. Jay, we can't tell them.
Oh, okay. That's
Tune
a
in
cliffhanger.
to see who
known
else
as
we know.
Nobody knows.
Nobody's agreed to do
Somebody
another
schedule
show.
a podcast. Hurry up and schedule it.
We hurry up.
All right.
We're gonna have to do.
If you
another
guys
one
know
by
anybody
ourselves.
that we can talk to, please tell them to join our show. Help.
Help! No,
We got a lot
Thank
of
you guys
people.
for listening to the podcast. Thank you guys for listening.
Yeah,
to
make
the
sure you
podcast.
like it and
I don't
subscribe.
Like,
and
subscribe, tell people about
Share
it.
it.
Make
Tell-
it bigger.
you can check
tell
it
your
out
family.
at
Make it smaller, I don't care.
theacousticshop.net.
No. .com, you dunce. Gosh. All right. Let's get out of here.
See you guys.
Podcast is over.
Bye bye.
Take me away.
The Acoustic Shop knows people. Handmade by Trent Pruitt.
Hinkley Hinkleston and Jason Chapman for the Acoustic Shop.
Theme song written and performed by Ofer Koren.
And please remember to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.